Powell Pass Chamoy.
Hi, I'm Seth with AA Lock, Dock, and Security. Have you ever thought about the locks or security on your house or business? Have you ever wondered why the keys to your new car cost so much? Well, at AA Lock, Dock, and Security, we can help with securing your valuables. We can even replace those expensive transponder keys. We can give you the knowledge that no one else will. Call AA Lock, Dock, and Security at 867-1965. That's 867-1965.
All right, 5 minutes after 11 o'clock. Nice looking Wednesday. It's 88 degrees. The heat index makes it feel like 103. The temperature is expected to climb to 95, and the heat index is expected to climb to 111 now. So it's another hot day in July here in Florida. In 1975, I was 20 years old, so I just revealed that I'm not a young man. Okay, but I did that for a reason, because when I was 20, I met a psychic, and I believe that he was a real psychic. He didn't charge me any money. It wasn't some lady on a boardwalk someplace, reading palms and things like that. But he really seemed genuine, and he had nothing to gain from telling me things. And so I was kind of intrigued by what he did, and I kind of took it all with a grain of salt, because I was 20 and I was believing but skeptical kind of simultaneously. Anyway, at that time, my job was dishwasher at a Holiday Inn restaurant. Mm-hmm. Okay. So at the restaurant, I'm telling the people, I met this guy, and he's a psychic, and he told me that he can actually read people through their jewelry.
That's something.
Okay, this is what he told me. And so they all jumped on it. They all wanted him to read their jewelry. So long story short, he told me, well, if they want me to do this, I'll do it for them. Make sure they put everything in an envelope. Don't mark the envelopes, and you bring it to me, meaning me. Okay. Mm-hmm. So I had the busboy, the hostess, the waitress, a couple of other people. I had like 5 people put earrings and bracelets and things into separate envelopes, mm-hmm. and then I brought them all over to the psychic. Okay. The psychic never met the people. He never knew their names. He never knew their genders. He didn't know anything about them. And then he would tell me things, and I would write them down. He would hold them to his head and make this like trance look in his face, mm-hmm. and he would see things, or so he said, in the jewelry. Okay. I came back to Ocala, because at that time I lived in Denellen, worked in Ocala, and it didn't all happen in one day. But when I went back to work, I brought everybody their jewelry back, and I told each person what he had said. Mm-hmm. But I neglected on purpose to tell one guy what he said, because it was a little embarrassing, because he said, I see a lot of naked people. I don't understand why I'm seeing so many naked people. Mm-hmm. So I was embarrassed to tell this guy that the psychic saw a lot of naked people. All right. Well, the other guy who was the other dishwasher, I was a little bit closer friends with him, so I said, there was one more thing that I didn't tell anybody that he said, and I told him about all the naked people. He says, oh my gosh, you got to tell him, because he works at another job at an adult bookstore.
Oh,
and I said, wow, even I didn't know that.
Did you feel left out?
Yeah. So anyway, this book that we're about to talk about, and I hope our guest doesn't mind that it took a little bit long to introduce her, but I wanted to tell you that story because the book is called The Secret Language of Stones, and it's a novel, but in a way I said, gosh, there might be some, I don't know, anything is possible in this world. Mm-hmm. This is such a fascinating story. I'm going to let our guest tell you the story. She is on the phone right now. Her name is MJ Rose. She's the founding board member and co-president of International Thriller Writers and the founder of AuthorBuzz.com. She's a New York Times bestselling author, and her book is The Secret Language of Stones. It's a ghost story, and you'll hear in a second why I compared it to my little experience. Yeah. MJ Rose, good morning, MJ. I'm so sorry it took so long, but I wanted to tell that story. Good morning, MJ.
I know. I love listening to that story. It was fascinating.
And where are you calling from?
Connecticut.
Connecticut. All right. Well, I grew up not too long. I had relatives in Milford.
Oh, yeah. It's not too far. I have relatives in Milford, too.
Oh, is that right? Well, maybe we're related.
No, they're not. They're relatives who've now moved there.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So let me ask you this. Is the novel based on anything that you believe is really true? Or is it completely out of your imagination?
Well, I believe in mystery and magic. I believe that mystery and magic exist, and that it's all around us in tiny and big ways, from things as simple as the beauty of an opal stone or a bird's feather to very strange things like speaking to ghosts. And I think that if I write about mystery and magic a lot, and I exaggerate it a little, that people who read my books will refocus their lives a little bit on the mystery and magic that's accessible to them and wind up a little bit happier. So I do believe in what's in the book to different degrees, but I haven't ever fallen in love with a ghost, which is what the main character in my book does. And I have never made jewelry and been able to speak to souls who have passed on through it, which is what the main character in my book does.
Right.
And it's a wonderful period piece too. I love I love those pieces.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it takes place during World War I, at the end of World War I. And Opaline Duplessis is a young jeweler who works for a man who was one of the Fabergé jewelers. And she makes talismans out of rock crystal and the hair or birthstones, and she engraves them. And she makes them for the wives, sisters, mothers, and daughters and lovers of soldiers who have passed on in the war. World War I was devastating. Over 1 million Frenchmen were killed, and 1 million more were disfigured or disabled. And Opaline makes these talismans to bring closure to the women who've lost people in the war. And she holds it. When she finishes making it, she holds it, the woman holds it, and Opaline can hear the last thoughts of the soldier of what he wanted to pass on to his loved ones so they can all, move on. And it's all going okay until one of those soldiers starts talking to her.
And it's set in Paris, so I mean you've got like the most romantic city in the world.
And it was very interesting to write about the most romantic city in the world during wartime, because bombs were being dropped on Paris during World War I, and people were dying when their buildings collapsed. And there were curfews in place, and there were no lights in the streets. So it was a very different Paris that I was writing about, except it's very much, it's a novel of suspense and a love story. And it was very interesting to figure out how to keep the romance of Paris alive during a time that was so devastating.
And it's an irony here, because while we have to maybe allow our minds and our belief systems to be suspended a little bit with communication to the past through stones, the irony is that we are communicating to the past through words and paper. I mean, that, in a way, our minds take us exactly to the same place that we're doubting we can be taken to.
Oh, that's a great insight. I really love that. Stones are really magical. They have been throughout history to all cultures. We walk on the earth, and the earth is made of stones. And stones capture pieces of the earth and water and substances and form over millions and millions of years. And every culture has believed that different stones have different magical properties, like opals. The main character is named Opaline. Opals alone are supposed to be able to connect the wearer to the paranormal. And amethyst are also very psychically connected, but jade is a healing stone. And each stone has its properties, and it's really fascinating when you start studying it. I know every little kid is fascinated with stones. I had a stone collection, and I think that fascination is a very real connection to something that, like so many other things, we outgrow as we grow up, and we lose our ability to connect to those amazing things.
So, right now, as we speak, there are mining efforts all over this planet, and this very device we're talking through, the phone, it uses pieces of stones to make that happen. Computers wouldn't be around without stone. They've got stones in them, little tiny pieces, and I don't know how science figured out how to make them do this, but so we really can talk through stones.
Yeah, and stones are magnetic. They attract things to them. I mean, they're scientifically magnetic. Opals alone have water in them. Opals are made of layers of water that are trapped in sediment.
I didn't know that.
The amazing colors come from that trapped water. And when you have them, you have to keep water. You have to water them every once in a while because they can dry out.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, those colors are water. I mean, that's so magical to me. Yesterday, oddly, these things always happen to me. the book came out yesterday, and I was walking to meet my editor for lunch to celebrate, and I passed a store that I found out has been on the street for 19 months. I've walked on the street 50 times in the last 19 months. I never noticed this store, but it's a gallery of stones.
Really?
On Madison Avenue, in Madison Avenue in New York City, there's a store that has the most amazing stones in it. Not jewelry, just stones on pedestals that are crystals and all kinds of beautiful things that are for sale. They're all too expensive. But these gorgeous stones, and you look at these like an amethyst crystal, and you just look at it, and it's amazing that nature, this is just an accident of nature of the way stalactites and stalagmites and all this condensation creates these amazing things.
Oh, I love this conversation. The book is called The Secret Language of Stones. It's written by M.J. Rose, and I have a copy of it. So if you want the copy that was sent to us, you can call me and have it.
It's well written.
The rest of us have to go and buy it. So M.J. Rose, do you have a website? I think you do, right?
I do. M.J. Rose is the website, and there are links to all the bookstores, and there's information about the book and an excerpt and reviews and anything anybody could possibly need to know.
Okay. MJ Rose, thank you for being on the air with us today. I love the topic, and it is a wonderfully written book. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, we will be right back.
Hospice of Marion County has an urgent need for volunteers to share a conversation with someone, run errands, hold someone's hand. All you need is a willingness to help others. Our volunteers believe the blessings they receive far exceed the services they offer. Will you consider serving, caring, and making a difference? Call today, 873-7441. Hospice of Marion County. Make